Today we're going to put the movement back in the case, put it on a time graph or do a little regulating, and in the next video we'll show how to install and lubricate the auto winder to get this stem out just like any other time. In case you haven't been keeping up, we're going to depress that button right in here while it's on the outer part of the time setting, and it doesn't take a whole lot of pressure. You just give it a little push and it comes out. And with the movement, I like to do this. I look it over real close, roll some Rodico over it, make sure you get all the dust off of it that might be on there, you never know. And I have the case cleaned, ready to go, and let's zoom out a bit here. There you go. And I just lay the case right on top and then turn it over. There it is in the case. I like to put a little lubrication on that stem. The other internal parts are lubricated. I like to add just a bit to the stem itself. Just a little, I don't know, what do we got, 8200? That should work. Just to smear parts here and there. Alright, let's see. There's our stem ready to go. Alright, come on. There it goes. Had a little difficulty there. I don't know why. Sometimes these will snap right in. Other times you need to depress that button while pushing in the stem. I'm not sure how this is going to go, so I'll be ready with both. Looks like it just went right in, because now it's ticking. We give it a test. Comes out, it hacks, and it can be wound. Or can it? Don't know. Sometimes you need to push on the movement this direction toward the stem to help seat it completely. If you heard that snap, I think it snapped in finally. Yeah, now we can wind it while it's in that position. So that's all there is to it. This has a plastic collar that's just going to lay in there, and at the stem it's split so it can fit underneath. At least it should. Like so. At least that's how I took it apart. I'm just walking it around. Looks like that's got to go underneath still. Let's get some different tweezers on that. Alright, let's try this. There we go. Put the split end in first. And it's just a press fit. Just sits in there and it'll hold everything in place. No screws really, it's just an interference fit that holds the movement and the dial in the case. So when you turn it over, everything's looking good. Now, regulating. Before we do the auto winder, I like to regulate these, only because it gives you access to the components on regulating. I'll show you what we're going to do. Let me get a good tight zoom here. Okay, there's 3 adjustments. 2 of them are for the rate and 1 is for the beat error. Let's see if I can work off the screen here. This one here is for our beat error. This one here is for the rate course adjustment, let's call it. And then over here we have the rate adjuster fine tuning, I guess you could call that. Just turning that dial a little bit could change this 1 to half to 2 seconds through the day. So the first thing we're going to do is beat error. I'm going to move this to the screen and you can see the beat error there. I can adjust this. There's our beat error, our amplitude, and our rate right now, 2 seconds, and that'll vary. Everything varies. First thing, I'm going to change that beat error to 0. And I take that 1 lever. I'm going to just leave the camera on that screen. I'm going to nudge it in one direction and see where it goes. I don't know which way it needs to go, so we're just going to go one way. And see what, okay, the lines are opening up, so therefore there's more beat error there. Quite a bit now. So I went the wrong direction. Let's come back, give it a tweak the other way. That was probably too far. Stopping the machine, turning it back on, gives us a quicker reading. Oh, not bad. 0.1. 0.1, 0.2 is acceptable. If you're like me, you want to be a little closer. And if you notice, the amplitude increases as you get your beat error closer to 0. It's finding a sweet spot, I guess you could call it. Alright, let's give it a nudge. And if it swings the other way, I went too far. But I don't think so. Look at that, 0. Okay, so beat error 0.0. That's not too shabby. Now when you move the beat error, it also moves that course adjustment. You can see that line going upwards. We are 36 seconds fast. That beat error is connected to the rate lever. The beat error lever is connected to the rate adjuster. So let's go to the course adjuster, get that close to 0. We know what direction this needs to go to. We basically need to slow this down by shortening the spring. Now, that course adjuster is underneath part of the auto winder. That's why I like to put the auto winder on last. I'm going to get this as close as I can to, let's be honest, we want this running within 0 seconds a day. That's ideal. It won't happen, but we want it close. Okay, that's a little. Now, right now, this is dial down. I'm going to flip it over to go dial up. I've always found adjusting to 4, 5, 6 different positions to get it as close as I can. The bottom line is, if I get dial up to 0, everything pretty much falls into that. So there's 10 seconds slow, dial up, and then dial down. It was, I think it was pretty close. So we're going to speed this up on the course adjuster, course adjusting lever. I gave it a little nudge, and it looks like I went too far right away. Here we go. 280, that's pretty good. 287 degrees. You can see our beat error is still 0.0. 1 second slow per day dial down, 2 seconds. If this gets close to 300 degrees of amplitude, it's a pretty good indicator that it's running pretty well. Now let's see what it does dial up. And once you do dial up, any position you put this in, it's pretty much going to maintain probably within 10 seconds. The amplitude will change, but that's normal because of the weight pulling on the balance. But if it maintains close to 0 or say 5-10 seconds in any position, it'll give you another idea on how well it's regulated. So let's give this a try. Here is the watch on its side and the stem to the right. You see the amplitude dropped a little bit, but it's still running pretty close to, and it's recovering, it's coming back up. It's slowed down a little bit, 4 seconds slow. That's not too bad. I like, if it can get within 10 seconds a day, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't expect perfection. You can't expect perfection out of something like this. So, but it is, the amplitude is coming up. So let's try the stem up, this position, see where that goes. And then we're going to go back to dial up and see how well it is running at dial up. So there's stem up, still 4 seconds. I could probably speed this up a little bit so it averages out. I could spend some time on that. I may or may not. I don't know. It's not that important that this thing runs. But sometimes I do tinker with them. I'll sit there and tweak it and then put it on my wrist for a week and check it against an atomic clock. Now, if you did want to do that, I would use that fine adjuster. Okay, let's go to dial up and see how it's doing. So at that one position it was 4 seconds, 2 seconds slow. Now it's recovering its amplitude because now I just changed it. This may, okay, it's coming up toward 300. If this is going to run a little bit slow, I may move that fine adjuster to about a second fast. So it averages +2, -2 in a day. That might be, oh, there you go, there's +2. So would I be happy with this adjustment right here? Yeah, that's pretty good. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Could I tinker and play and get this close and close? Yeah, I could do that all day, but I'm not going to. You can make yourself nuts regulating one of these. What's important to me, a good amplitude, The beat error is 0, and it's running within 10 seconds a day in various positions. So I'm going to leave it at that, and our next video is going to be the auto winder, so stay tuned.